but there are some words perhaps you may not know. First of all, what do you have to put? Your name. Yeah. Your full name. Your full name. Yes? First name and family name. Surname in English. Then what do you have to put? Your D-O-B. What's D-O-B? What's that? Your date of birth. Yes. So remember that if they ask you if you're DOB, your date of birth. Oh, you still do if you're applying for a job. And then what do you want? Your address. Your address. Yes. 2 D's. Remember, and 2 S's. Right? Then what do you have to put? Your education. Your education. And that is normally the schools you've been to during your youth, your schools, and university, if you've been to university. Right? Then they want to know your qualifications, don't they? Your qualifications. What are your qualifications? Huh? Driving license, that's a qualification, yes. But otherwise, your academic qualifications, your certificates, your diplomas, your degrees, you know, all those bits of paper. They want to know about your pieces of paper that you have collected. Then, today, they very often want to know about what you've done, your work experience. How are you writing? Experience. Your work experience, you know, whether you've worked part-time while you were studying, whether you've had a full-time job, and so on. They very often want to know your interests as well, your hobbies. All of these things are part of your CV, the list of your life. And then, finally, they will ask you for the names of what? Of whom? The names of usually 2 referees. Okay? Now, you might think a referee has to do with football. It does, yes, but it also means somebody who will write you a reference. Now, a reference, usually they want a work reference, so your employer, someone who you've worked for, will write some nice things about you. Yeah? And then very often they want a personal reference. They want someone that you have known for quite a long time. And they will write what sort of person you are, your character. Okay? Now that is your CV. And in our society, you need a CV, in fact. To study here, come and study here, you need a school letter, don't you? A school letter, if you get a school letter, you get a what? A visa. Yeah, we know all about visas. We're still waiting for your man's visa. We're still reminding God every day, would you mind, please, hurry up, young man's visa. So, you need a school letter. The school letter will say he or she they have paid the fees. Okay? If you want to go to a British university, you have to have probably an IELTS score, probably 6.5 or 7 in IELTS. That's quite a good standard of English. IELTS. If you want a good job in England, well, you need a good score, you need good qualifications, and you need a good reference or two. So everything really we do in this country and in your country needs some kind of reference. Well, that's interesting. That's the world. What do we need to know God as our Father and our Maker? What do we need for that? What do we need to have God's love and to be with Him, not just here on this earth, but forever? Most religions tell you that you've got to obey a lot of rules. You must do this, you must do that, you mustn't do this, and you mustn't do that. You have to work very hard to please God. Most other religions. But to be a Christian, a child of God, to know God as our Father, now and forever, we don't need a school letter, we don't need fees, we don't need to pay, we don't need qualifications, academic or otherwise, we don't need good marks, and we don't need a reference saying how good we are, how lovely we are, how nice we are, how honest we are. None of that. We don't need any of that to know God as our Father. Why? Amazing. Why? Because the amazing thing is that God Himself has given us the only reference we need. He has given us His Son, Jesus Christ, who came to this earth, died on the cross in order to pay the fee for our sin. Jesus Christ, the holy, the perfect, part of God Himself, He died on the cross so that we can come to God as His children, just as we are. Now this is very, very important. God loves us even if we haven't got a school letter, good qualifications, work experience, good references. Jesus is our only reference. He's the only way we can be with God forever. You remember, he read it. Jesus said, "No one comes to the Father except by me." Jesus is our reference. We can't do anything ourselves. Nothing is good enough that we can do to get into heaven. We can't pay for our visa or ticket to heaven. It's a free ticket which God gives to anyone who would like one. We just have to do one thing, and that is say yes to the reference of Jesus Christ. Now, I know all about qualifications, exams, and references. I happen to have quite a lot of qualifications. I won't go into them all, but I have a whole stack of them. Academic qualifications, many of them. In my rather long life, for the first 40 years, I was very ambitious, and I collected qualifications, academic and otherwise. I was very ambitious. I studied very hard, and I got a very good job. For 40 years, I was quite pleased with that side of my life. But I can tell you now, this is the last time, so I can confess to you and tell you the truth. My working life, my academic life was very satisfactory. But my private life was rather bad, I must confess. I went against God's laws. I said no to God, and I hated anything to do with religion, especially Christianity. I would run in the opposite direction if I met Christians. But then, you know, amazingly, God, in His mercy, offered me the chance of a new life in Jesus Christ, just as I was. God was not interested in my long list of degrees and qualifications. He wasn't interested. Nor was He interested in the fact that I had disobeyed God's laws rather badly. I'm not going to tell you in detail, but it's enough to say I was not very respectable. I'm sure you're all very respectable. I was not. God wasn't interested in that either. He said to me, "Come, just as you are." And really, that is the message I want to give to all of you. If you know God through Jesus Christ, bless you, and carry on in the way. If you don't yet know God through Jesus Christ, I can tell you that it's worth looking into it and accepting that letter of reference, which gives you a relationship with God. You can become a child of God. You don't have to get all your qualifications out. You don't have to pay anything. And even if you've been rather naughty or rather bad, it doesn't matter. God says, "Come as you are." And that's what He did to me nearly 40 years ago now, because I'm nearly 77. Good age, 7 times 7, very nice. And in the last 37 years, I've never ever regretted saying yes, thank you very much, dear Father, for giving me that reference of Jesus Christ for my life. So God bless you all. Those of you who don't know Him